Hi, I'm truly Jacoba Ryder. This is my audio pen name, if that's what you want to call it. Today we are going to go and talk about the complete fairy tales of the Brothers Grimm. And I keep wanting to call them the Grimm Brothers because that makes more sense to me. Anyways, the person who translated this was xviii. So the Grimm Brothers wrote this in a different language. I don't remember the language. But just so we're clear, initially, as a disclaimer, I grew up very super conservative Christian, and I heard different things. And some of the parents were more strict than others. And my parents were, I don't know, my parents personally, they allowed me and my brother to watch Disney movies. And their perspective is just make sure it's, don't go off trying to be a witch or something, if there was a witch in a movie. Because we watched The Little Mermaid, we watched Snow White that had the witch in there, or the evil queen. So, but it was like, I guess their whole thing was don't go and try to be a witch, And then they heard things from other people down the road, and they're like, you really shouldn't do any of the witch books, especially if someone worships demons. So we were never allowed to read Harry Potter books, okay? Or watch the movies. They never allowed us to do that. So maybe some books are okay, some books aren't. Okay. Anyways, so there is this thing in the Christian community. I'm just bringing attention to it. Whether you believe it or not, you can hear my opinion, reject my opinion. I really don't care. This is my pen name. Truly Jacoba Ryder. Okay. This is me as an adult coming from a super conservative Christian background, where you could go into the extreme and be like, get rid of everything. Stop reading books. Everything has to have a holy and righteous teaching to a T. But we live in a sinful world, or a messed up world, where people make mistakes. And so I am just here to share a different opinion, okay? So initially, I went to that extreme at one point where I was trying to be like, let's make sure we watch everything 100% holy and righteous and read everything that's 100% holy and righteous. And that means I need Christian writers, only Christian writers who have 100% the whole truth and 100% the whole doctrine. And I've come to the conclusion, you need to read things for yourself, and you need to critically think. How do you do that? How do you do that? What does it mean to critically think? So my way of critically thinking about what other Christian writers write, even other stories, because there was the whole, I'll get into other books later. Okay, so going back to the complete fairy tales of the Brothers Grimm. The Grimm brothers were the ones that wrote these stories in a different language, because there's an introductory thing in here, and that's what we're going over today. So they had a Christian background. They grew up going to church. They believed in God. Writing these fairy tales didn't make them not believe in God. That is not the gist of what I got in the introduction. They were trying to support their families, and they got this idea because it had never been done, it seemed like, from the context of the introduction, that all these different towns and villages that you go to, they all had these different fairy tales. And the gist of it is, it seemed like parents, from generation to generation, these fairy tales got passed from generation to generation, and it helped teach their kids moral lessons. So they decided to write down these different stories and publish them in a book, and they made sure the book was illustrated. And the complete works, which this one goes over like 210 stories, and I still haven't gotten all the way through, and it's been like 3 months since I checked it out at the library. Yeah, they, like, some of them probably didn't even get published in the regular book. I'm not sure exactly how it is, because this is a like, it's, this book is like even the stuff that was written or they wrote down and it didn't get like published. So that's what I got out of it, is that these Christian writers, they heard all these stories. They probably, oh, these are good moral lessons. We should write these down in books form, so like everyone can have them in a book form in a more interesting way, where it's an illustrated version where there's pictures on every page or every other page or something. And it'll make it more interesting for the kids to learn the moral lessons. So like, it seemed like their intention was to provide for their family, which is a really good thing. Not just their family, like their brothers and sisters too, maybe. Like, so they were caring for the whole family. They were caring for the community. And then a lot of these stories have to do with kings and princesses, or someone being like dirt poor and being able to rise up the ranks and marry a princess or marry a king or something, and having like learning a valuable lesson of some sorts. So like and it took years for me to come to this point where it's like, how is it okay why do some Christians think it's okay to read fairy tales and some others don't? Well, what is the moral lesson that you're getting out of the fairy tale? Because that is the purpose of writing a fairy tale, is to teach a moral lesson. So I've done a 180 where I used to be super conservative and I was like, no, fairy tales are bad. Reading stories about witches are bad. Well, and a lot of the stories here with the Grimm brothers, they teach that witches are bad. And they're like, in the end, the witches die because they were bad. They were evil. So they put witches in their story as a way to be like, evil is bad, being greedy is bad, not helping other people is bad. So what is the moral lessons that you get out of when you read fictional books or fairy tales or sci-fi genre? Again, my upbringing is bad educational system. I do not know how to pronounce certain words properly. So I'm just doing the best I can to learn and grow as an individual. So I hope you found this video interesting. I will be reading one of the stories from the complete fairy tales of the Brothers Grimm in the next video. Until next time.